You get what you're willing to tolerate. So while we've been taught on this path that tolerating things, building up your tolerance, having patience, right? Often equating that with compassion has often led us to tolerating the wrong things, things that we shouldn't tolerate, like this system that we live in. You don't need to tolerate the previous paradigm when you're shifting into a new one. Recognize where you are and own it. You know, it's like, I think this is actually a story that actually happened. It's just an example that I was thinking about metaphorically, but I think this actually happened and there was a movie about this. The idea is that, let's say you're born into a room and you're told this is the world, this is everything. And so you tolerate it because you don't know what else is possible. You don't know what else is out there, literally. Once you somehow get any sort of peek outwards and you see how much more there is, you don't think to tolerate staying in the room anymore. Now all of your efforts are to get out of the room. This is sort of what awakening is, how it begins. In Kabbalah, they call this the point in the heart. When the point in the heart awakens, it's the desire for the divine now. It's not a desire for another worldly thing, even worldly knowledge or worldly power, worldly status, whatever it is. It all goes beyond that. So that sense that I know there's more, and I know that I will not be fulfilled unless I find that more, right? That's sort of the beginning of starting this awakening journey. But you see, the thing is with when I say that the system, the room that we're all held in, and we think, oh, this is normal, this is natural, this is life, right? We just live in this little room. That's what we think. When we have compassion for that, when we're accommodating of that, when we're tolerating of that, it's almost like, you know, the villain character in the superhero movies, where they make Superman or whoever it is have to go and save the innocent people so that they can use that as a distraction to meanwhile go and do whatever it is that they're trying to accomplish, take over the world or whatever it is that they're always trying to do, right? So basically what I'm saying is that they're using their goodness against you. You know, it's like, you know, if you're not being tolerant of all the terrible things around you, and also that are being done to you, and you're not exemplifying forgiveness and all of your spiritual qualities, then are you really good? They make you question that, right? And the divine is good, so you can't really let yourself not be good. You know, a lot of light workers may have tried to play like, oh, I'm going to go to the dark side, but maybe some have gone, but really there's almost like, nah, it's just, you can fake it, but you're still really, really good on the inside. So this is kind of what it is. This is kind of what it is. Your tolerance is feeding the agenda that you don't really want to fuel. You don't want to be a part of that. You don't want to strengthen that because it's keeping you in the room. It's eventually killing your spirit. Yeah? But your spirit is so resilient and so powerful that, and many of you listening to this are here right now because of that power that you have. You know, and it's just like you won't be contained. It's almost like we've reached a point, some of you will resonate with this. It's almost like we've reached a point of defeat, of surrender, of giving up, of like, I can't fight, I got no fight left in me anymore. I'm exhausted, which is good. That's leading you to the energy of not tolerating the system anymore, this paradigm anymore. But it's almost like if you've seen The Matrix, where Agent Smith sort of kind of takes over Neo, and you know, there's like Neo is gone, and it's almost like he swallowed him, right? But then this light starts to emanate and it starts to explode and burst through the Agent Smith, right? And that's kind of how it is. It's almost like you reached a point where you thought like, that's it, that was the end. But all it was, that death was really a rebirth, right? And this is the beginning of the rebirth. It has a little bit of anger energy because it has to be this, You know, it has to be this, I'm taking my power back, you know, and owning. I know who I am now. I know the light. I know my worth. I know my value. So it's breaking free like that, but it's just the shining of your light through the suppression of the darkness. You see? So it's a temporary phase of this impatience and lack of tolerance and all of that, because you're realizing that you're a being of light, right? And your tolerance and all of that is just a part of who you are. You can even love the darkness. You can have compassion and mercy towards the darkness. But the thing is like the villain in Superman, it's going to use that against you. So then you have to learn. That's why some of the lessons on this planet are really difficult for what we call light workers or awakening people or whatever you want to call it. Starseeds, there's all the names, right? So it's tricky because it's your nature to be, you know, and you're taught all these things, right? A Course in Miracles students, you know, forgiveness and Buddhist compassion and this and that and the other, and loving kindness through Kabbalah, the grace, the chesed of loving kindness and stepping out of yourself and giving to others. It's all part of your path that sort of was designed to allow the light in you to strengthen and strengthen and strengthen, because the more you act like the light acts, the more it strengthens in you, and the more you remember who you are. And eventually what you got to was that place that remembered, I am good. I am unconditionally good. There's no nothing that this world can tell me anymore to make me believe that I'm not good enough, that I'm not good, that I'm not divine. That's knowing yourself, knowing your worth, knowing your value. I know who I am, and you can't manipulate me anymore. So that's what it's ending, that manipulation. That's what we're awakening out of, right? We're not going to be manipulated anymore. We're not going to be this beggar, needy, survivalist man. We're going to be the divine man. We're not anymore having that begging energy. We're standing strong. We're standing rooted. We're at the final stages of building a foundation for the light to stand on, to build on. That's what we've been doing up until now, is building a foundation. Yesod in Kabbalah, if you guys know the Sfirot on the Tree of Life. I'm doing these articles right now in the members area, in the whatever it's called, right? You know, where you click join and you can join the members area. And right now the last article was about this, that the foundation is already set. I love the synchronicity of me starting the Kabbalah series and the energies right now, and just like it's exactly parallel. We're at that place of Yesod, foundation, and the next phase is that it drops into Malchut, which is the kingdom. So that means that the divine, the crown, the king, the Lord, God, existence, universe, the self, whatever you want to call it, but it's the crown has finally been crowned, is finally sitting on its throne. Obviously, it already has its throne in heaven, but now it's finally reclaiming earth. Now, this is finally the stage where God has entered the ring because of the work that you did, because you stretched your vessel to receive its light, your light. It's our light. It's all the only light there is, right? So it's not like there's manyness in that regard. There's just that one light, and we're all opened up to flow it through us. And that's why I say God has entered the ring, because you've allowed it, right? But now it's, stop allowing that other thing. You don't need it. There's a different kind of support, because the foundation is here. That's why I said in the previous video that opportunities will come now as you really, really align yourself strongly with this, with what's happening, with spirit, with God, with your true self. And you really, really see that you are the light, and that now the light it's time to shine, right? So before that, the whole thing of tolerating the darkness and all of that, and almost like embracing your struggles, being grateful for your struggles and all of that. If you got to that point, that means that you've reached the end of your struggles, really. The moment that you start to realize the purpose of your struggles, that they are purposeful, that you can feel grateful for them, that what it's all that it's really been doing is stretching you to receive more light and reminding you of, through, and a lot of times through contrast, of who you are and who you're not. So through going through all these experiences that just don't resonate with who you are, you're like, what is going on? And then finally you have that almost like a divine authority within you, an empowered kind of authority sense within you that finally allows you to know, yes, I cannot be gaslit anymore. I cannot be manipulated anymore. I know who I am, and I know that these energies don't match, right? Anybody who comes to me through fear and control, they can't anymore. Anyone who comes to me through love, we can connect, right? So, and I don't feel responsible anymore. That's just, for a lot of people hearing this right now, it's just where you're at. You're not responsible anymore for helping those people come into love. You're just radiating that frequency, and they can choose to align with it or not. You don't have to sweat blood, sweat, and tears anymore to help others. You help others now by being yourself. And this is still a vibration of oneness. It's not exclusive as it sounds. It's exclusive in the sense that it's allowing only vibrations that will join in the oneness to come in. And it's not anymore allowing the Superman villain, right, to distract you by having mercy and giving energy and going in the direction out of compassion and kindness of whatever of your heart to keep on playing and accommodating the darkness. It wants you to stay focused like that. It's just another meaningless distraction. Don't do that. Honor yourself, right? And so this is the energy of oneness, because all who choose oneness eventually come here to the light. The oneness exists and is seen and is known in the light. In the darkness, it's exactly what's missing, is that we can't see that we're one. So we act separate. But in the light, when you come into your own light, you will see that we are one in this light. You'll start to feel like the feeling of being alone or lonely will completely go away. So if you understand that you get what you're willing to tolerate, then you understand the secret to how you're actually creating your reality. If you have patience for all the negative stuff, if you have tolerance for that, then you're going to allow yourself to experience all of that. We don't need to have that energy in our lives anymore when we're really shifting paradigms, shifting dimensions, shifting earths, whatever you want to call it. Where we got to be welcoming that new energy, and that new energy is really, really good. So don't tolerate the really, really bad anymore. Don't even tolerate the bad at all. You see, it's like, how do you let this reality go if you keep fueling it? No, you gotta let it go and fuel this. So another really important point that we absolutely have to mention here is that this is such a massive crossroads of awakening right now, and of shifting dimensions, or whatever you want to call it. And the relationship to what we call healing on the journey is going to change a lot. So, it was very good, in a sense, you could say, to want to heal, to want to be working on yourself, to look at your shadows, to dive into relationships in the world, and just to have everything be triggered in you and brought up and everything. But if you're really resonating so far with everything I've shared, and if you're really the audience I'm talking to, then this will resonate for you. And that is that now your healing is going to come only through love and joy. So it's not going to really be that same feeling of healing like before. Like, it's almost like before it was I'm trying to just get to a place that is okay. I'm just trying to get to breathe some air. Like the whole, I don't feel right in myself. I like almost a sense of brokenness, and then like the healing was a sense of like trying to put ourselves back together and trying to get back to ground zero, trying to get to just stop being who we're not and be who we are. And like really, that's been a hard journey. Like all of you listening to this have been through so much, and so the people I'm talking to are now at the place where that part of it's done. So now that you know who you are, the struggle of the healing and all of that, that won't be there anymore. Because as you've been working and as you've been growing, what's been happening is that your struggles and your suffering, you've transformed and transmuted them more and more quickly as you progressed on your journey. So that now if pain comes in, if suffering comes in, you transmute it very, very quickly. You don't stay in that. You don't tolerate it. You understand that that's not necessary. There's no need anymore to learn and grow through pain, through hard stuff. And the people in your life that are still growing in that way, they'll all fall away. They'll all fall away. So that the journey now doesn't feel, maybe healing won't even be the word that's being used. It'll just be expansion into more of who you are, and more of who we are, and more of who we are, and more of who you are. Yourself and the self. It's both. Growing more and more into that. And that's also what that means. Growing is receiving. Kabbalah. It's you're finally in a place of receiving the divine. So it's going to be more abundance channeling into you, flowing into you. Abundance, balance, stability. That's a big part of the foundation right now, is the lower chakras are being stabilized, if you will, so that they can flow. This whole thing can flow through and reach the earth. That's Malchut. That's the kingdom. That's the next level that we're at. So we might be needing to talk about that as well. There's some balancing of your relationship with your sexual energy and things like that, but we're not going to get into that here. So the point is, beware of any part of you that just wants you to keep working on yourself and your shadow and addicted to healing and this and that and the other. Be very honest with yourself. Work on what you need to work on. But remember, again, those really negative things that you need to look at or whatever, they're going to start coming and being shown to you through an energy of love, which will make it so easy to receive that. And you'll be like, thank you. I'm so glad that I see that now, because I was so ready to let that go. It'll be very natural and almost spontaneous and easy, like a leaf just falling off the tree when it's time to go. So that, and then there will be activations and downloads and information coming in that will just expand and just give you a wider, broader view of the picture, right? A deeper understanding of yourself. And it'll be just like a learning and a growth, but without any pain. It'll almost be like a fascination and an excitement, not like, oh, here's another god darn thing I gotta work on, you know? It's not going to be that energy, because the energy of effort and forcing belongs to the old paradigm. This is an energy of flow and expansion, like an opening flower. An opening flower, just receiving the sunlight and opening to it, feels very different than being in the dark and being like, how do I get out of this? And if you're really at the place that I'm talking about, really your indication is that as you've been struggling and suffering, the duration of your struggle and suffering, the tolerance that you had towards it has decreased and decreased and decreased. And the way that has been manifested or actualized or played out is that your periods of struggling and suffering were short-lived. You wouldn't be willing to stay in that energy. You would use that to sort of propel you back into who you really are. Until you realize, I don't need to do this dance anymore. Go here to be reminded to go back there. Go here to come back to the self. Go back here to come back to who I really am. I don't need to do that. I'm just going to stay here. And that's the rootedness. That's the foundation. You're being rooted. You're having that rootedness in who you really are. You don't need to tolerate the previous paradigm when you're shifting into a new one. Stop tolerating it. Stop being patient with it. Stop accommodating it. It's not for you anymore. Recognize where you are and own it. Own it. Own your value. Own your worth. Own that you're ready for this. Own that you've already done that work. It's behind you. So, you can't fit into it anymore. You can't fit into it. You're too big. Your energy, your vessel has stretched and expanded enough to where it literally can't fit into the 3D. You can't squeeze it in. You've outgrown it. You're like Jesus now. You've overcome the world in that regard. You can say that. I've overcome this world. I've seen through it. I've seen through its lies. I've seen through its limitations. I've seen through the manipulation that asks me to constantly validate and tolerate and see as natural and normal things that are absolutely not natural and normal to my true nature. My true nature, meaning these things are not true and they're not your nature. They're not natural and they're not true. You've seen through that. You've seen through this matrix. You've seen through what it sells you. You've seen through the egoic paradigm. You've seen through the narrative of the ego. It's not true. And yes, there are people who still want to play in that. Let them. But you don't have to tolerate that. You don't have to be like fitting in anymore. Forget fitting in. Who wants to fit into hell anyway? Do you want to fit into hell? Or do you want to fit with heaven, with your natural state? A lot of people are tolerating things on a daily basis that really seems natural and normal to them, to live like that, to live in that constant state of struggle, in that constant state of difficulty and negative emotion and negative feeling about themselves and about whatever and the world or whatever. And just, there's work to be done there. That's okay. That's okay. But you got to know where you are. And for those who are not yet feeling done, you might also get something from this, because if you understand that you get what you're willing to tolerate, then maybe see why you're so willing to tolerate so much negativity. Why? What's the gain? What's the gain? There's got to be some gain in it, right? The only good answer to that question, the only good answer to that question is that you don't know your worth. Because you don't know your worth, you're still learning. You're still being stretched beyond the ego's idea of your worth. And so as long as you're identified with the ego's idea of your worth, you're going to put yourself in a place where you're welcoming, excuse my French, but shit. You know? Once you know who you are, once you know your worth, once you know your value, it's not appropriate for you to play with shit. At the end of the day, what it comes down to is that we suffer because we accept it. We accept it. We don't, it's like we can't see the alternative. And that's the whole awakening, is to see the alternative. You just listen to your ego. Your ego tells you that, you know, that you have to go through this negative stuff. And you believe it. And that's why you have to go through it until you come out the other side and you see, like, why am I putting myself? I don't need to go through that anymore. I've had enough of that. I get it. What it actually taught me is that I don't need that. I don't need that. It doesn't respect who I am. It doesn't receive what I have to give. It tells me things that are not true about me, like that I'm weak or that I'm wrong and broken and whatnot. All of these things, it's like, there just has to come a point of like, how much of this do we need in order to come to the place where we see that we don't actually need it, that it doesn't actually serve us, that it doesn't fit with who we are, that we're tolerating shit And what would it take for us to get to the point of seeing like, wait, I don't need to tolerate shit anymore. Why am I tolerating shit? Wait, I deserve so much better. But then to get to that point, you have to start to see that there is so much better. So you have to open your mind, you have to open your heart, you have to see the alternative. The alternative to ego is spirit. And spirit will show you how good it can be. Spirit will show you what's the alternative to shit. What's the alternative to hell? What's the alternative to negativity? What's the alternative to beating yourself down and telling yourself you deserve shit? What's the alternative? The opposite, right? But you don't believe it. So you have to deal with this because this is the only thing that's available to you because that's the only thing you're willing to believe. It's true to you. This shit. It's true to you. But it's not real. It's not really true. This is what's true. And it's to your ego, it would be, oh, it's too good to be true. That's not realistic. Life can't be that good and that free. No, it can't be that easy. That's literally the most difficult thing for humans is the ease of life. The fact that it's easeful is the most difficult thing for humans. The truth is so easy, is so simple, and it is easy. It's easy. It's easy. It doesn't require effort. It doesn't ask for anything from you. It's easy. It's the easiest thing in the world because there's nothing you need to do for it. You just need to receive, to allow it. So it's easy, but that's the most difficult thing for humans because you don't feel worthy. So you feel like you need to prove yourself over and over and over and over and over again. Prove that you're good. Prove that you're good. Your light shines on all the shit. Look at my light. All this shit coming towards me, but I'm still shining my light. Cool. Cool. Shining it exactly where it can't be received. That's why you don't need to care what people think. I mean, do you know how many stupid comments I get on these videos of people who hear, they don't have ears. They have shit for ears. People who don't have ears, how can they hear? They can hear when they're ready. When they're in this vibration, they'll hear it. You can't hear it if you're in a different frequency. It's going to sound like complete gobble wash to you. It's no. So that's not who I'm talking to, and it doesn't matter what people think because what's true is true, and when people are ready for it, they'll be able to receive it, to hear it. They have to choose it within themselves. But if still all that's real for them is shit, then they can't hear a message that tells them there's something beyond shit. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the red pill. The red pill is what's the alternative to the ego? What's the alternative to hell? What's the alternative to shit? What's the alternative to all this negativity? What's the alternative to struggle? What's the alternative? Yeah. And then align yourself with that because make that what's true to you. Make that what you're willing to tolerate. Don't be tolerating this. We're in this together. And those who are not willing to tolerate this, they're just already ushering in this other thing. So they're not fueling this old paradigm, they're fueling the new one. And this will benefit everybody who comes afterwards, who reaches the end of their tolerance of shit, right? And then they will be like that to the wave after them. And then that wave will stop tolerating shit. And eventually you see how this is part of the ascension, is the end of that tolerance. The end of that negative kind of patient that is patient with the wrong things. Don't be patient with people manipulating you. Don't be patient with people, whether they're, and a lot of this is conscious, but a lot of this is unconscious. People try to take from you or use you or enjoy your limelight or whatever it might be that they're doing. It's not coming from an evil. It's just unconsciousness, which is what evil really is in a way. It's an unconsciousness. It's a disconnection, and it's seeking for improvement. It's seeking for better. And maybe you're that person who has that better, so they're looking to get it from you. But you don't need to tolerate it from people who aren't in that readiness to really, really receive it. and shift. They're going to take from you and use whatever they took from you to just create more of the same shit that they've been creating anyway. Yeah, more drama. So you're not really helping them. You're just giving your energy to a black hole that keeps swallowing it. Give it to something that will feed you back. That's healthy. That's balanced. And that's part of the new paradigm. That your giving and your receiving start to be very, very balanced. That your effort feels like right effort. It's not too much. It's not too little. It's in the flow. So when your effort feels like flow, that's the new earth. When your effort feels like, I'm tired, but I'm going to push through, like that, then that's the old paradigm. Don't push anymore. You don't need to push. You're getting a wind on your back. That's spirit. You need to allow, receive, go with it, own it. Be all that you are, with no shame and with no apology.